this week's drive, we take the wraps off not one, but 3 new contenders. Watch as a driver takes something extra for a fast lap. Ride along in a desperate fight back in the desert. And catch up as the king comes out in his new colours. All this and more in this week's Drive. Former Formula One world champions Williams have set themselves a target of reclaiming their place among the sport's top 3 teams this season after a success-starved 2005. This they revealed at the launch of the new Cosworth-powered FW28 racing car at the team's factory in Grove near Oxford in central England. Williams have won more titles than any other team apart from Ferrari and McLaren, but are entering a new phase after 6 years with BMW. Williams will use a Cosworth engine, and the team is hoping that the change will be for the better. There have been other changes too. They switched from Michelin tyres to Bridgestone and have a new driver in German rookie Nico Rosberg. Number 1 driver Mark Webber is just hoping that the car is fast.
With the amount of thousands of hours that have gone into preparing a new car like the FW28, we're all incredibly excited because the potential, we hope, is going to be absolutely fantastic. It'll be run for the first time, obviously next week. And in relation to our opposition, we hope that it comes out very, very well. So it's all that amount of work that goes in that gives you that, the slight butterflies in your tummy that you know that there's a lot at stake, but also it's huge rewards if it goes well.
The car gets the smaller V8 engine this year.
I think the buzz in the factory is very, very strong. We know we can punch above our weight. We have high goals of ourselves, but punch above our weight in terms of the opposition and hopefully ruffle a few feathers. I mean, bigger is not always better, and we are still a huge team and a top team, and we want to prove that again.
Last year was a disaster by the team's high standards, a year they'd sooner forget.
Of course, we want to do a lot better than we did last year. I mean, we finished 5th in the constructors, so surprise, surprise, I finished 10th in the drivers' championship, which we both need to improve that drastically. So probably 2 positions in the constructors would be very, very good for the team to come back after what we went through last year, and myself to get much more stronger results and. I'm not interested in lucky results. We want to be solid in our performances and not inherit nothing. I want to get the results because of our own pace and performances. Rosberg
is expected to challenge his Australian teammate.
I mean, to be here at the launch with the team as an F1 driver, it's starting to get real. That I'm an F1 driver this year, and it's great, it's fantastic, but more so I think I'm looking forward to actually driving it, because now we've been testing with the old car the whole time and thinking, it's not going to be this one anyway, and now to have the new one here, I really am looking forward to giving it a go, and I'm the first one to be allowed to drive it.
He's the son of Finland's 1982 world champion Keki and takes his place alongside the experienced Webber at the age of just 20.
I've always done step by step, and this is just another step for me. So I expect to do well. As someone said, maybe the mistake here or there, I think, which is quite normal. But just to progress all the time and do a great job, I think, because, I believe in myself, so I don't see a problem.
After 6 years as the sole recipient of BMW's engines, reputed to be the most powerful on the grid, Williams has had to negotiate a deal with Cosworth. BMW bought the rival Sauber team based in Switzerland after the relationship with Williams soured. Was Williams on BMW's shopping list?
No, it's always been independently owned, and that's what people mean by an independent team. We are obtaining our engines from Cosworth Engineering. It's not quite the same, if you like, in the eyes of some people as a motor car manufacturer. The engine, we believe, is very strong, very competitive, and life goes on as it always has gone on. We've made our own decisions.
The team's second test driver beside Alexander Wurz is India's Narain Karthikeyan, who spent his maiden year in Formula One racing for the struggling Jordan team last season.
Joining Williams is a dream come true. It's a front-running team, and been trying to get this opportunity, and I tested well for them. I was quick when I tested for them in December in Jerez, so yeah, it makes sense to be here, and for the long term it's a good opportunity to improve and drive a competitive car and understand more on how everything works in a top team. We have a few new parts in the car for 2006, and it all seems to be working quite well. So, you know, the Cosworth engine, Bridgestone tyres, everything is coming together nicely. And, you know, it's a building year for Williams, and hopefully they will be at the top. And, you know, as I said, whatever way I can contribute, I will.
Meanwhile, not far away, one of those manufacturer-owned teams, Honda, was also revealing their new cars and the revised driver pairing. Honda, who bought out the BAR team, are setting their sights high with what they believe to be the best driver combination in Formula One. The team believes Briton Jenson Button, who is joined by former Ferrari number 2 driver Brazilian Rubens Barrichello and British reserve and tester Anthony Davidson, have the talents to deliver success. Nick Fry, the team's boss, believed that the team is well placed for success.
We're a Honda Works team. This is the first time this has happened since 1968, and it's a very proud moment for us. The other thing is that we'll be introducing 2 cars at the same time. Normally with Formula One teams, they offer 1 car to 1 driver, and then maybe a week or 2 later, a second identical car is offered. We're now in a situation, such as the strength of our manufacturing and our logistics operation, that we've got a car for Jenson, a car for Rubens, both being launched on the same day, and that's quite a big step.
Barrichello has joined from Ferrari, where he won 9 races, spending 6 years in Michael Schumacher's shadow, while Button has gone 100 races without a first victory.
Honda for me is a big name. Honda, it's been the past of my friend Ayrton Senna. He used to tell me a lot about Honda, and I'm just honored, very honored to drive for them and to help them get where they want and I want, which is to be a world champion.
Button is under no illusions about the relationship between drivers in a team. The first person that each must beat is his own teammate. Barrichello is one of the most experienced drivers in Formula One, his career starting in 1993 with stints at Jordan and Stewart before Ferrari.
Everyone in the media is very excited about Rubens and myself being at Honda for 2006, and I think the whole team are. You know, everyone's very positive about the pairing, and I am as well. You know, it really helps having someone with that experience alongside me, and you know, I'm sure we're going to have a few moments on the circuit, because when you're in the same car and you're both experienced and quick, you're going to be finding each other on the circuit quite often. But you know, I'm sure we'll control ourselves.
Repeating bold words that came back to haunt him last year when the team performed way below expectations and finished 6th overall, Fry said he expects great things of the team this year, but for different reasons.
I think with Jenson, he's incredibly competitive character, but I do think that having Rubens as a 9 times race winner working with him has given him that extra bit of impetus. Of course, he expects to be challenged the whole time now. Rubens is someone who can consistently be at the front of the grid, and that's going to push Jenson along. And what we've seen is a really nice dynamic between the 2 drivers. Very good relationship in terms of it's fun, but on the other hand, both of them clearly wants to show what they can do, and you know, they'll push each other to greater heights. So we've got great hopes for both of them.
Last year's car suffered aerodynamic problems and couldn't match the pace of Renault. They were also banned for 2 races for fuel and weight infringements.
It was a very difficult year in 2005, but you know, when we realised what our problems were, I think we put them right, and very quickly as well. So scoring points in the last 10 races, you know, I was the only driver to do that on the grid. So we can turn things around very quickly, which is important in Formula One. And I think, you know, the experience of us all doing that has made a big difference for 2006.
The team, racing as BAR, didn't win a single race in 7 seasons, but Honda have now taken control. The new cars are the first Honda Works team since 1968. During their first 2 generations of Formula One competition, from 1964 to 68 as a constructor, and from 83 to 92 supplying engines to Williams and McLaren, Honda won 11 world titles in the Constructors and Drivers' Championships. Yet another launch saw the new Ferrari contender revealed in chilly weather. The 2006 season will be important, both for Ferrari and their star driver, Michael Schumacher. The team was beaten by Renault in the Constructors and Drivers titles last year, and will be looking to claim back at least one of them when the new season starts on March the 12th in Bahrain. Big hopes rest on the new 248 F1, which has already undergone extensive testing.
Yes, we pretty much do find this car the way we expect this car to be. In a way that is very positive, because last year's car finally was not anymore what we thought it would be, and we have more correlation to what we are thinking it was supposed to be, and all the indications were already very positive, and it has been confirmed in the laps we did in Fiorano and here today again.
Schumacher, the most successful Grand Prix driver of all time with 84 victories, won only one race last year, the six-car US fiasco in which the Michelin-equipped teams didn't compete. It was his worst season since he joined Ferrari in 1996, and he's hinted that if the team's fortunes don't improve, he may move on. His contract is due to expire at the end of the season, so doubts do hang over his future. Schumacher is joined for this season by Brazilian Felipe Massa, who replaces his compatriot Rubens Barrichello as Ferrari's other driver. Barrichello cut his contract with Ferrari a year early to join Honda after getting fed up with life as support driver to Schumacher. My first impression is that I am happy, but surely the real test will come when we're on the track with the other teams, and then we will have a 100% comparison. At 37, Schumacher is the oldest Grand Prix driver, but the 7-times world champion can't be written off, and the new car may allow him to challenge for yet another title. Most titles, most wins, most points. Only one milestone has eluded him. Against Ayrton Senna's tally of 65 pole position starts, Schumacher has 64. We will approach the coming season with a lot of motivation, with humility, but we are also hugely determined to make it back to the top. We have all we need: the drivers, the team, the money. So there is no excuse for us not to return back to where we were before.
Dove eravamo, e questo sarà il nostro impegno, ovviamente con i nostri partner.
Tyre and engine rule changes this year may help Ferrari return to form. Certainly the team seem confident that they have the drivers, the car and the financial backing to once again ride high. Seven weeks after the previous race in Dubai, the drivers returned to the track for official practice ahead of South Africa's A1 Grand Prix round in Durban. So much for sunny South Africa. The wet first practice session was halted when Canada's Sean McIntosh ended up on the wall, bringing out the safety car. After practice resumed, Team Indonesia's Ananda Mikala took advantage of a brief dry spell to post Session 1's fastest time on the specially built 3.2-kilometre beachfront street circuit. But the weather deteriorated before the start of the second practice session. The all-black Team New Zealand car, driven by Matt Halliday, had found a good setup. Team Great Britain's Robbie Kerr was one of many who struggled. Kerr was 4th fastest in the first session and 11th fastest in the second, but was lucky to stay off the wall as he outbraked himself. Brazil's Nelson Piquet Jr. wasn't so lucky, crashing into a tyre wall. Piquet could only manage the 18th fastest time in the second session. He was 9th quickest in the earlier session. Durban is notoriously humid in the southern summer, but this was excessive. 16-year-old Aman Ebrahim had a potentially nasty crash, but he walked away unhurt despite severe damage to his Team India car. His crash brought out the red flag, stopping the session so track workers could clear the wreckage. South Africa's Steven Simpson was keen to impress in front of his home supporters, but unlike some drivers, he didn't have the benefit of local knowledge on the temporary circuit. He briefly held top spot, but was 13th at the end of the second session. The strongest lap times were recorded towards the end of the session as drivers found the best lines and the unraced-on-track surface rubbered up with deposits from the soft wet-weather tyres. Australia's Will Davison clocked the fastest lap time of 1 minute 30.52 seconds. All drivers were hoping for improved conditions for Saturday's qualifying sessions. Sure enough, the next day dawned bright and clear, ideal for quick times, except that none of the teams had much usable data about getting a dry setup on the unfamiliar track. Ireland seemed to be doing well, with former Jordan Formula One driver Ralph Furman posting a best aggregate time of 2 minutes 38.5 seconds that seemed to put his team in second place. However, his bid was scuppered by red flags, and Ireland eventually qualified in 5th place behind the orange car of another ex-Formula One driver, Jos Verstappen of the Netherlands. Robbie Kerr was in outstanding form for Great Britain, and he went on to take second slot on the grid with a time of 2 minutes 38.08 seconds. The Briton has said that he's determined to claim his first win of the season, and Durban offered him one of the best chances of achieving his aim. But nobody could keep up with Frenchman Alexandre Premat, who is a street racing specialist on the only street circuit on the A1 Grand Prix calendar. There were no real surprises on the track, with the French team starting 2006 in much the same vein as they'd ended 2005. Their dominance of the A1 series continued, with Premat posting the fastest time in qualifying to put his team on pole position for the sprint race. France already looked like runaway winners of the sport's inaugural season. Midway through, they sit at the top of the overall standings with 106 points, 31 ahead of their nearest challengers, Switzerland.
Gentlemen, for the pride of your nations, start your engines!
Once the series founder Sheikh Maktoum had started the longer feature race, championship leaders Team France started on pole with Switzerland's Neil Yanni alongside, but the Swiss driver overtook Premat on the first bend as there was a scramble to get past a stalled car on the grid. The yellow flags came out when the USA and Australia tangled in turn 1. Great Britain suffered when a mistake in the pits saw Kerr complete a whole lap with a pneumatic gun and hose hanging from the back of his car. He lost time removing it but retired soon after. Premat was delayed as his mechanics struggled to swap wheels. When he returned to the track, he was given a drive-through penalty but fought back up to 7th place. The safety car came out several times, and second place looked certain for Germany's Timo Scheider until his car hit the wall on lap 36. Yanni looked set to claim the second win of the day when Brazil pitted at the end of 37 and he moved into the lead. Verstappen had worked his way through the field and climbed into second place. But as the cars were on their last lap, Verstappen took his opportunity and passed Yanni's car, which seemed to be slowing. Verstappen made no mistakes and took the checkered flag ahead of Yanni for his first A1 Grand Prix victory, much to the dismay of the Swiss pit crew. In the earlier sprint race, Verstappen had fought up to second and was on the tail of the leading Frenchman for some time, but decided to make his move in the final stages of the last lap. Pulling alongside the race leader on the approach to the last corner, Verstappen went wide, clipping the Frenchman's rear wing and puncturing his own left rear tyre, putting him out of the race. As a result, he started the hour-long feature race at the back of the grid, making his win in the Durban humidity all the more remarkable. Portugal's Alvaro Parente was third, behind Swiss Yanni and ahead of New Zealand's Matt Halliday. South Africa's Stephen Simpson finished 5th, equalling Malaysian Alex Jung's record for the best finish by a driver at his home race.
Obviously, I'm very delighted with it, and I think especially for the Dutch fans and for the team, they worked so hard. So I think they really deserved it as well.
France leads Switzerland by 28 points, with Brazil 3rd and Britain 4th. The 8th round will be held at the Sentul circuit in Indonesia. Defending champion Nasser Salih Al Attiyah of Qatar and co-driver Chris Patterson set off first at the start of the UAE International Rally, the first round of the Middle East Rally Championship season. But of the 27 competitors who took off from Al Ain, only 13 made it to the finish line. Participants in the 564-kilometre rally represented the UAE, Oman, Jordan, Britain, Saudi Arabia, the USA, Lebanon, Bahrain, Ireland, Qatar and Germany. At the start of the second and last day, Nasser trailed the UAE's Sheikh Khalid Al Qasimi, who was in the lead by 53 seconds. Atiyah narrowed the margin down to 48 seconds after stage 8 and then 31 seconds after the dam stage.
Stay in. OK. 150. Slowing. Crest. Into. Left 3 minus. Unseen. 300.
Al-Qasimi defended his lead desperately, but at the service point in Al Ain after the 10th special stage, the gap was down to 22 seconds. Atiyah then reduced it further, so at the start of the 13th and final stage, Qasimi was just 10 seconds ahead. Third for most of the event was Sheikh Suhail bin Khalifa Al Maktoum, also of the UAE. All three of the top-placed teams were driving Subarus. Sheikh Abdallah Al Qasimi, Khalid's brother, eventually finished fourth. Atiyah and Patterson covered the last 12.87 kilometres in 6 minutes and 55 seconds to win by just 7 seconds.
No! Yes? Yes. Win? Yes.
I think that was probably the best performance of Khalid's career so far, said an impressed Mohammed bin Sulayem, chairman of the Automobile Touring Club of the United Arab Emirates. The second round of the Middle East Championship is in Qatar in February. The first day of MotoGP testing at Sepang was a chance to see the Yamaha factory team in their new livery. Then it was down to business on the track, and while his leathers may have changed, Valentino Rossi again set the fastest time. His new M1 is a development of the 2005 model rather than a revolutionary design, and Rossi said he had more worries about how he might perform rather than the bike.
Yes, he's already good. Come back on the bike is always strange because I never know if I'm able to ride or not after 2 months, no. But I'm already fast today, and we work a lot on the new bike, on the new M1. The bike is already good. Yes, we have some problem, we have some chattering, but. I think Yamaha worked very well this winter. The bike is good, and we need to develop, but it's normal. It's just the first test.
This year sees several riders at new teams, including Spain's Sete Gibernau, who's joined the Works Ducati team after 3 seasons with Honda. After a difficult 2005, he's hoping the move will bring a return to the form that saw him pushing Rossi in 2004. The test session has given another chance to see the new batch of MotoGP rookies, including the double 250cc world champion Dani Pedrosa. He'd stated that his main task for the pre-season would be focusing on adapting to his big new bike, so he was more than happy with 4th fastest time.
For the moment, first day was okay, and just we try to get the feeling and try to be more on the bike and make some kilometers and recover that feelings that we get in November.
It'll be interesting to see whether Pedrosa can find his feet quickly enough on the big 4-stroke MotoGP machine to lay down a serious challenge to Rossi this season. So, whether you're having a really bad day in the rain or raising your own desert storm, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.